Here tonight on the Town Hall, housing issues in Buffalo and across the country have only gotten worse during the pandemic, with financial problems plaguing both tenants and landlords. The group Push Buffalo is now trying to get the Buffalo Common Council to pass a tenant bill of rights. It will be a list of rules covering things like just cause eviction, the right to timely repairs, rent control. Push advocates were at the council meeting earlier this afternoon trying to get lawmakers to take some action. And joining me live now is Teresa Watson, housing justice organizer at Push Buffalo. Appreciate you coming in the studio. It's good to see you. Tell me what sort of was the motivation to go to the council today. I think this was actually one of the committee meetings, right? And you were able to actually kind of testify before lawmakers. What is Push's push to the lawmakers?
Well, our push to the lawmakers is the same message that, we housing justice organizers before me and myself have been pushing for years, since 2020 with them, which is that we need this tenant bill of rights passed. And so, you had a couple really great examples of some of the protections that tenants would see. But today we were in the Community Development Committee meeting. We were able to get actually more speakers than they had space for in the committee, which was a really wonderful and powerful thing to see, is tenants showing up ready to speak to their representatives about these issues.
And there are landlords who are watching us now as well, and I'm sure you've heard from some of them, and some of them have shared some horror stories during the pandemic of that there are certainly always going to be people who take advantage of a situation, and landlords saying, this went on so long and I never got paid and I have to pay my bills. How do you respond to that? And are you seeing sort of this kind of organized effort against this Bill of Rights from landlords?
So yes, and I do want to be really clear that we have some small landlords who are actually incredibly for this, because not only is it only targeting some of our worst bad actors, egregious slumlords, but it isn't actually removing any of the protections that landlords currently have. It merely extends rights to tenants who do not have them yet. So landlord rights are the same as they've always been. If somebody is a tenant in bad faith, they're violating the lease, any of those things, nothing in the tenant bill of rights would change their right to get that person out. And I think that sometimes there is this misnomer, this misunderstanding. We have seen, the real estate and landlord lobbies really going against some of the local good cause, the good cause bills that have passed in places like Albany. So I think that's where we see some of that organized kind of opposition. But really, for the Bill of Rights here, it is not anti-landlord, and in fact, it can be good for especially some of the true local small landlords who are doing the right thing, because then they will no longer be kind of painted with the same tarred brush as the slumlords, the bad actors who are getting away with things that they should not be.
And we do know, because we hear from people all the time, there are a lot of mostly out of town, you call them slumlords, landlords who, and it's really hard that the housing court doesn't work especially well with dealing with that. And so there are a lot of challenges. Finally, in the little bit of time I have left here, how does this move forward now? So you spoke today before this committee. Are you hopeful or optimistic, or how would you describe it in terms of whether or not the council is going to go along with this?
Yes, I think it's going to take a little bit more work.
Okay.
But we're grateful to be on the show today to be able to spread this message. And today, like I said, was a super powerful showing. We had about 25 tenants ready to testify to the council, and they came and they told their stories. They really illustrated the need for this and how it's more necessary than it's ever been. But I also think that, if we had had this protection just a couple of years ago, we wouldn't be in such a dire situation now. So yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit more organizing, a little bit more work, but we continue to remain hopeful and put our faith in our Common Council to do the right thing, to move on tenant rights and the tenant protections that are so necessary.
So this committee today, I imagine there will be more committee meetings, and then you just kind of wait to see if they'll advance it and put it before the full council and get a vote. You hope in the new year, I imagine? Yeah,
hopefully in the new year. I will say that we haven't had time to do follow-up with them quite yet. We have one follow-up meeting with a common council member, but the rest of them I'm just going to call tomorrow because that's what we had time for today.
Yeah, you heard it here. Check your phones tomorrow, council members. Really appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. Push Buffalo here joining us. Teresa Watson is housing justice organizer at the organization. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.